Hi, and welcome to Healthcare IT Today. I'm Colin Hung, editor, and today I'm fortunate to be joined by Rikki Jennings, Chief Nursing Informatics Officer at Zebra Technologies. Rikki, thank you so much for joining me today.
Colin, thanks for having me. I'm really grateful to be here.
And I'm really excited to talk to you because the last time we spoke was right after HIMSS was canceled early in the year, which seems like a lifetime ago. But since then, you guys at Zebra have come up with some pretty interesting announcements, and one really caught my eye, and that was an announcement that came out around the use of Epic's Rover and has now been approved for a Zebra device. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Sure, you're right. It certainly does feel like a lifetime ago, and I'm excited to talk about this recent announcement. I think it's important to keep in mind that this is a recent announcement. However, Rover's been able to run on a number of Zebra devices. It is really important in healthcare to think about purpose-built design and being able to withstand the rigors of the environment. That's 24/7, 365 uptime. A number of factors go into that design and being able to support these critical workflows of our clinicians now and seemingly more than ever as well.
So you're saying that EMR on mobile devices isn't something new. This is something you and I have talked about before. But now that I guess you can say now that Epic's sort of approved to have Rover run on your device, has that changed anything in terms of now not being having to be tethered to a desktop or one of those rolling cart kind of things?
Oh my gosh, mobile access or clinical mobility in general has absolutely been transformational in the way our clinicians can provide care to their patients. That seamless access to information, whether that's connecting with one another as a care team or in the instance of in this instance, as we're speaking here, being able to access the patient's electronic health records. So accessing medication administration records or specimen collection workflows, or being able to capture images that are pertinent to communication has absolutely changed the way clinicians work. There's a lot of conversations on desktop versus mobile, but when you think about needing the ability to respond quickly and even more so being able to clean and disinfect devices and any technologies as they interact with the patient, bringing into a handheld device, a mobile device, into a patient's room certainly enables our clinicians to not only provide care more quickly with enhanced visibility, but also save time when moving on to the next patient with a quick wipe and disinfect of a handheld device rather than a full workstation on wheels, perhaps.
Now, one of the things that I've seen over the years looking at your devices, because I think the comparison that most people will make is saying, well, can't I just run this on my personal mobile device? Can't I just run this on an iPhone or an Android device? But when I look at your devices, they have much more functionality. They've got the readers on them, they've got extended battery life, they're certainly more rugged. Are there some other things or other features you want to point out in terms of why it's better to use one of your devices versus, let's say, an iPhone?
So we know that our clinicians, hospitals as a business, run 24/7, 365. There are shifts, workers working round the clock. So with that, a device never gets a rest. Being able to change batteries or not have to worry about cases or extra parts, but also looking at the holistic design, the ruggedness for the environment, eliminating nooks or crannies or metal contacts that could perhaps corrode over time. There's so many design elements that go into a purpose-built device, both from a physical housing perspective, but as well as how they are run and how they're able to be supported, which is so important to keep in mind in today's environment. How can we very much so remotely support our frontline staff and ensure that the tools we're giving them are able to deliver on the intentions of bringing mobility into your clinical setting, driving efficiencies, streamlining workflows, and reducing any disruptions to the critical nature of that work.
Well, one of the things that I know I've seen in some of your videos and also demonstrated in person was just this ability for you for the device, the Zebra device, to scan the medication and then scan the ID of the patient to ensure that there's a match, because of course that is a huge source of adverse events. And everything being baked into your single unit, and now with the ability to tie it into the EMR to make sure that actually it's completely, I guess you can say, safe. To me, that's a big deal.
So one of those things we hear, you may have even included a different article, I think nurses talk about a lot, is reducing the tool belt. And as we talk about mobility and electronic EHR access, they go hand in hand, where in years past, someone may have needed to incorporate a camera or have a scanner and a computer. That's all in the handheld now. So being able to have that built-in scanning capability that acts and can support the workflows just as a clinician or any end user might be accustomed to using with a desktop setup, being able to have that camera on the device, both rear facing, which is typically used for taking pictures, and now, which we're seeing increasingly, is forward facing for video communication as well. And then the ability to being tied into the various other systems that are incorporated in patient monitoring as well, all within the same device.
Well, certainly now, as with this announcement with Rover, now I have access to all of Epic, right, and whatever it's connected to through that one device and through that one interface. So that must be a big convenience for nurses and clinicians.
Absolutely, being able to get visibility to test results and change in vital signs, and instantaneously connect with other clinicians, and then as well be able to as you've said a couple times too, perform medication administration without having to have a desktop computer or separate scanner, but being able to incorporate the best practices that we know are out there for scanning for medication administration is really exciting. I think often about medication administration and the patient experience, and in particular for the one workflow we as clinicians zero in on, and that's pain management, and being able to quickly respond to a patient's request for pain medication or deliver it timely without having to just, all you need to go into the room with is the medication and your handheld device, and being able to quickly document in real time why you're giving the patient medication, capture that information timely, as well as deliver the pain medication as well. Just one of the key standout workflows that I think really highlights a change of practice that can happen.
So Rikki, let's play this little game together. So let's pretend I'm a CNO at an organization that maybe hasn't invested as much in these mobile devices. Maybe I still have a lot of these carts around and cows and those kinds of things. What would you say to me to kind of maybe tip me to starting to think about it, even now during the pandemic?
I think it's always so important to think about how our clinicians work today. Technology is not successful if we don't have a keen understanding of the workflows that our clinicians are completing today. Where is there room for improvement, whether that's being able to deliver more timely care, whether that's being able to work more efficiently, which enables a clinician to do what we went into this work for, and that's really to spend more time with patients. So where are there what you might label non-value added tasks happening in your clinician's day that may be solved by enabling them to move more swiftly, connect more easily with one another, and have that enhanced visibility, that mobile access to pertinent patient information, particularly the mobile electronic health record, enables them to do so. So whether that's stopgaps or delays in timely documentation, which is certainly analyzed and reviewed, or is it compliance with barcode medication administration as well? Is there a room for improvement as well? But most importantly, it's about identifying how clinicians are working today and analyzing where mobile technologies could better enable them to do their jobs tomorrow.
Love it. Where do I sign? Now, Rikki, I have to ask this because we're still in the middle of the pandemic. In fact, we're just at a point where cases are rising again, and there's a lot of concern about how hospitals may be overwhelmed again. Um, you know, since the last time we spoke, have you heard any feedback from your customers? Have you noticed any trends in terms of the use of your devices in the COVID context? Have you noticed anything different?
So we talked earlier on about purpose-built and designed for healthcare. And so we have long realized that the healthcare environment is one where infection prevention needs to be paramount and top of mind. As a world, we have become even more heightened and aware of that need, and where we've been able to educate and help support the better compliance to infection prevention is with our devices that are built to withstand repeated wipe down from stringent germicidal wipes. So thinking about things
Right.
like bleach and alcohol. While I will say our clinicians have always kept infection prevention top of mind, that is how we keep our patients and one another safe. Just the happenings in our world have brought us that to higher attention right now. So we have supported and educated and reminded on how to properly disinfect equipment between patient uses, and all while keeping in mind that doing so will not degrade the integrity of the device, which is so important. I mentioned earlier about constant uptime needs in healthcare, and that goes back to making sure that the device is always working, and if not purpose built, that repeated wipe down can certainly cause issues with the integrity of a more consumer grade or not purpose built solution.
Totally with you on that, because I'm now on my second case, because I made the mistake of the first one I had. I used a bleached based wipe on it and it ruined the coloring on it. And
Oh,
so, right. But to your point, like that's not something we maybe thought about as much until the pandemic hit, how much you have to disinfect these devices. So your point about, hey, you guys have built something that can be wiped down with these heavy duty cleaners that will actually remove the viruses and that are typical in a hospital. I mean, that's very key, because I can't imagine trying to wipe down a computer terminal like that, and the keyboards and all those kinds of things, even with those special coatings on them. Like a mobile device is smaller, it's compact, and much easier to clean.
it can be done, and there certain are solutions that are built to do it. However, it takes time, and we know that time is a critical element for our caregivers and most importantly for our patients. So enabling a mobile technology that reduces the amount of time it would take to wipe an entire desktop or a workstation on wheels to just a handheld device is absolutely a difference.
Awesome. Well, Rikki, is there anything that maybe you wanted to tell us that I haven't asked today, or uh,
I think we've talked a lot about the key workflow. So I think it's important to summarize that mobile electronic health record access has transformed patient care delivery, just as clinical mobility has done for so many workflows, whether that's through communication in voice or in text, through patient documentation in the electronic health record for the various workflows. We touched on them on a high level in these quick interviews, but medication administration, specimen collection, capturing of images, wounds, communicating those in real time to one another on the care team. And then in today's environment, being able to be mobile and incorporate care team members quickly through video or through telehealth it has profound impacts on the way we can work with one another in these unique times, as well as just going forward.
well, Rikki, thank you so much for the information you shared. I'm excited for you and for this new integration with, or the official announcement of you being Rover approved from Epic. And again, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Colin. It's always great to connect. Appreciate your time.
This is Colin Hung with Healthcare IT Today. Thanks for listening.